There we go. Awesome. Right, so seated position. This will be a wake up for the hips. So we can take a little seat, such as a block. Always nice to have a little raised platform, as it were. I'm just going to turn the recording notification off down here. Lovely. And if you've got your blanket nearby, you may like to bring that along with you so that you can add a little bit of padding. So we'll start in Sukhasana, easy space. Let's hope this is our mantra for the whole of 2026. Easy. Who'd like a nice easy year? That would be nice. Spacious, I mean, this is what it's all about. So in order to even get close to that sense of spaciousness, there may be something to release. So we'll investigate that in our practice this evening. Let's place the hands on the knees. So if you were to look down at that gap between the legs and the pelvis, there's a little bit of floor that you could sort of put your hand down through that gap. So see if that's true for you. If not, it may be that you've pulled your legs quite close in. So just see if you can create a little bit more of a square shape. Sit up nice and tall. Keep your scarf on around your neck if you find that useful, and any other layers, shawl or anything like that. And we're just going to settle. So allow the body just to rest. And it may be the first time today that you've had the chance to even entertain the idea of rest. So you can close the eyes. This will start to at least draw our attention inwards and away from perhaps the pull of the external world. And become aware of the fingertips just resting on the knees. See if you can soften the grip of the hands. And then the softness around the toes and the feet. And of course, there may be a little bit of holding around the inner arches or the ankles, and just notice if you would benefit from a little padding underneath those ankle bones, because of course there may be some tenderness there, you may be on a hard floor. So it's always worth just recognising the need of the body, and then see if we can, move towards alleviating any of those sort of tensions. The alternative is to try and push the sensation away, and as we know, this sometimes just creates a bigger problem. It gets louder and more sort of disturbing to the mind. And perhaps a third option is to just allow it to go, just allow it to drop. And this, again, it's a choice. This is a choice that we always have, how we approach it, the bhavana, the intention behind it. So we'll take a nice deep breath in with the intention of filling the lungs, and then exhale, release. And you may have noticed perhaps a little rise up of the shoulders. We're going to encourage that on our next breath in. So breathing in and release. Deep breath in and release. Good job. So this time we'll take the breath into the back ribs. And just see when we relax those shoulder blades down the back, if we can bring a little softness to that exhale. Good job, well done. We're going to release the left arm. Just allow that to dangle out towards the side, and then bring the sort of isolated shoulder up towards the ear and back. So there's a little bit more space, bending the elbow depending on your arm length. You don't want it sort of dragging on the floor. So allow it to sort of bend as much as you can in order to feel that spaciousness into the back ribs. There may be a sort of natural little twist up through the torso as well. Of course, everything is connected in our practice. Not just our practice, of course. Well done. Take that arm forward. And just take a breath before we bring that arm across the body and just breathe into that shoulder blade. Nice deep breaths. Also, we're raising up opposite arm just to gently hook that across the body. Keep softening down through the feet. So notice a little tension may come in through the legs. And release. Well done. Rest the hands. Let's bring the chin to the chest, just soften around the pelvis here, draw the belly in, breathe in through the nose. If you can, of course, it may be congested, so do what you can, and then rolling all the way forward and up, shoulders release, and then we'll take the extension out to the other side. Nice deep breath here. And then that little bend in the elbow, and start to just feel into that shoulder blade. So there may be some tightness there, a little bit of stickiness around the scapula, between the scapula and the ribs. And remember, you know, we could give this 100% from the get-go, or we could just ease in and just see how the body is and see it as an invitation to perhaps just meet the body with some kindness. Perhaps that release is just the release of trying. What would that be like? Well done. Deep breaths. So of course that little turn comes up through the body. Wherever you feel that, maybe up through the neck and the connective tissue all the way across the pectoralis muscles and up through the neck muscles. Let's extend that arm forward and then across the body. Keep that connection with the breath if you can. And then breathe. So you may be feeling this quite strongly in the hips as much as the arms, just distracting you with all the arm movements. But of course, you know, sitting can feel quite strong. You're welcome to extend the legs if you need to, but we are going to release them shortly. Let's take a deep breath in. Well done. Release the arms. This time, let's bring the hands gently forward, just ahead of the crossed legs, fingertips to the floor. Lengthen through the spine, and again, we don't need to force that stretch out of the pelvis, but just become aware of the hip bones, the space across the back of the pelvis. Chin to chest in this position, so keep softening the shoulders away from the ears. Let's draw the belly button in towards the spine. Well done. Now you're welcome to travel a little further forward with those fingertips. See how that feels on the hips and the pelvis. And if it's not available, that's absolutely fine. Just notice that that turn in the pelvis is what's going to determine how far forward the fingertips move. Keep softening into the inner groins. Well done. Come up nice and slowly. Can't hear all your groans, so I'll assume they're happening. We're going to lift up the legs. Just notice which leg is in front, okay? And then before we come to the other side, we're going to just release that tightness that you may be feeling. So flex up the feet as the legs are extended. Let's just place the hands either side of the hips. Lift up through the chest. Really allow the thighs to drop. I know we're on our little blocks or maybe on a folded blanket, but there's a sort of extension all the way up through the back of the body, starting at the soles of the feet and traveling all the way back up through the calf muscles. Keep that awareness up through the spine. Enjoy that sensation of having the legs extended. Breathe deeply. And again, just simply witnessing where the breath is landing, where there is a resistance or maybe some holding. Wonderful. Let's flex the feet now, point the toes all the way away, so a nice big stretch on the very tops of the feet. So you may find the knees pop up, and that's absolutely fine. Even the thighs become engaged, so wherever we can feel these other muscles sort of coming in and taking over, sort of sharing the load, we should encourage that so we're not always overloading the same muscles. Let's bend up the knees, take a breath, and then we'll cross the legs with the opposite leg in front. So if you have forgotten, don't worry, it will be the one that feels less familiar, so try both. Bring that blanket again across the front of the shins, and this just can add a little bit of softness to sort of soften into. If your blanket's quite long, then you can do that little double back on the ends for some support under the thighs. So something soft so the thighs can be released. Wonderful. We're going to raise up the hands. Let's breathe in and then gently turning to the right. Exhale, drop that left hand to the right knee. The fingertips can come behind you. Now, if you've got a brick block nearby, you may want to rest your fingers on that. Something similar to this. If not, you may just be on the fingertips and that's fine. What I like about using a block, if you have something nearby, then you can sort of travel with that block behind you, so you can really start to open across the chest. Also, by pressing into that block or the fingertips, you sort of lift up. Even if we just gain, you know, a little ½ an inch of space through the spine, up through the crown of the head. Notice again if the fingers are gripping, if we can find a little softness there. Now we're drawing the belly in and up. So this awareness of the midline comes to mind, perhaps every other posture, maybe less, a bit like the breath. It's always there, but it's whether it's in our consciousness. Exhale, release. Come back through the center. Rest the hands, take as many deep breaths as you need. Maybe a couple of little shoulder rolls with both of the shoulders up and releasing. Any breath work that appears sort of spontaneously and naturally, we can encourage that, especially if it's with a movement, with a sense of releasing tension. Raise up the arms, breathing in. Exhale, over to the left. Okay, so we're bringing that right hand onto the left knee and gently turning. So again, you're on your fingertips behind you, or if you have your little block, brick block, flat block, whatever you have, could be a pillow, just to lift up, but something a little firmer than a sort of soft blanket or a pillow gives you something to sort of get that energy up through the arm. A little bounce back from the floor and across the chest. Let the tongue rest in the lower jaw and let the eyes gently soften. And slowly start to breathe some soft awareness through the inner groins, the inner thighs, and any other area of holding. So it's like we place the body under the microscope when we start our yoga practice. If we are really present, we can witness the body perhaps more finely, more truthfully. Well done. Release slowly. Come back to center. Take a deep breath in. Excellent. Release the arms. I'm going to gently take the arms out. Let's just start with a bend of the elbows. So we tap the very tops of the shoulders. Let's breathe the elbows in towards each other. Take a breath in and then exhale wide. So again, really mindful, we don't need to force anything. We're going to breathe in, exhale. Each time, maybe the elbows come a little bit closer, tone in the belly, and release. Well done. Let's release the arms, release the legs. You very much deserve a lie down. So we'll whip the little block. If you have that, you may want to place it at the back of your head. If it's a flat block, use a pillow, nice thin pillow, I should add, or a folded blanket. And we're going to just slowly start to loosen off around the back of the pelvis. So start by gently rocking the knees side to side, okay? So it's a slow movement till you can feel the sitting bones, and then we'll bend the elbows, come down onto the elbows, and then just feel that lower back. So before we even land fully, allow that lower back some time, some sort of prime time, just to release by itself. So it has the full attention. Let the full inhale and exhale take place and be released, and then slowly come all the way down, releasing the arms. Let the head land with the chin towards the chest. Let the arms release. So here you're welcome to extend the legs actually. See how that feels to really allow the body to soften. Because so often we think we're relaxed, but there's another layer of release. So even having the knees bent requires some effort, something to sustain, something to hold. Whereas in this full reclined position, our Shavasana position, if you will, there is a real surrender to just how the body needs to be. So hopefully a little space between the ankles, shoulder blades sort of resting towards the earth, chin resting towards the chest, arms resting in their sockets. And just become aware of the jaw on the sides of the temples, the eyes. They can close, of course, particularly if you have any, strong lights above your head. Let the eyes rest. And just notice how it feels to let the body rest. Now we'll make one small amend to this, and we're going to gently bend up one leg along the floor, so the leg that's closest to me, and bring the sole of the foot in towards the thigh of the outstretched leg. Okay, so think of a reclined tree pose. Now if there is a really strong sensation through the inner groin, you may want to just roll over, grab your little blanket or some soft padding. I'll just demo this for you as well, but a little bit of softness to, if you like, hold that leg in place so that you're not doing the holding. So it may look something like a folded blanket just underneath the thigh, out towards the knee, or just prop the knee up so that there is a holding of that leg, whatever angle towards the floor. You can sort of bridge that gap with a blanket, with a pillow. And then we're going to bend the elbows and rest the hands on the upper chest. The extended leg can just flop out to the side. We're not holding a shape or pointing the toes, we're just resting. Take your awareness to the upper chest as you breathe in. So fingertips, they're resting softly. Have some space between the fingers, okay, so that when you breathe in, there's this feeling almost mimicking of the fingers and the ribs. Really expand into the ribs. So you may start with the expansion in the front chest, because you can feel that with the fingers. And then slowly we can tune into the spaciousness around the side ribs, out towards the armpits. And then the very back of the body. And how does it feel to have that support under the leg? Well done. Let's take a deep breath in. So you can come back to this any time, of course. Release the hands. Allow that leg to slowly come in towards the chest. We're going to circle that leg. Now, if you feel like you're rolling around quite a bit, you don't feel stable with the extended leg, you're welcome to bend that leg and anchor down through the foot. Otherwise, you can allow that leg to continue to rest and just isolate that one knee. So we're bringing some circles to that leg, deep into the hip joint. So we are really treating this leg to some TLC. Extend that leg up. Bring the hands around the very back of that thigh. Interlace the fingers. Now here you may also want to bend up that extended leg if you need to. Please do so. Otherwise, we can keep that leg extended. And this time we'll bring a little point to the toes. Well done. So some small movements may creep in, and that's to be encouraged. A little side to side. See how that feels to breathe Nice and deep. I think I lost you there, but I'm back. So some movement in the air. See that elevated, I've put a nice bright red sock on so you can't miss it. Nice deep breath. So you can encourage that little movement with the hands at the back of the thigh, and they don't need to be big circles. Just start by sort of feeling into the range available, that range of movement. Wonderful. Let's flex the knee now. Rest that foot down. We'll peel up the other leg. Take a moment just to draw the heels in, lift and replant the pelvis, lengthening down through the lower back. If you use your blanket on one side, you may like to switch that to the other side. Extend the leg that's closest to me, and then slowly when you're ready, we can allow the other leg just to flop out to the side. Now, bearing in mind this leg may require more padding, less padding. See how it feels once the leg lands, and you're bridging that gap so that it's fully supported. Okay, so that whole leg feels padded in some fashion, even if it's a block, a blanket, or whatever you have, a jumper. Take the hands on the upper chest, sole of the foot is pressing in. You're creating this sort of reclined tree pose, if you will. Deep breaths. So you can close the eyes. Keep a softness through the extended leg as well. The temptation is perhaps there's still a little residue of movement and activity through those muscles. But just see how that feels to release. Take those lovely deep breaths into the fingertips, into the upper chest, the side ribs, the back ribs. Well done. Let's release the hands. Draw that leg in and up. Take your time extending through that leg. You can bring the interlaced fingers around the back of that thigh and just be sort of curious about the extension through the back of that leg. Start by pointing the toes and just feeling the openness all the way down the hamstring. So for me, this side is always tighter. So you adapt, you can't treat this side like the other side and vice versa. It's being attentive to every movement as it arises. We can't have an idea about it. We can't start with a preconceived idea, just meet the body as it is. Although this is consistently my tight side. Well done. Let's bring a little bend to the knee. Deep breath. Good job. Flex that leg as many times as you need. Maybe start with those little circles. We'll extend the heel up towards the sky. Take your time to really feel the connective tissue around the outside of the hip as much as the back of the hip. Remember, you can bend up your supporting leg if that makes it feel a little bit more stable. Well done. Bend that leg. Hug the knee in towards the chest. We're going to change the placement of the hands and actually draw the other leg in. Start with a little roll across the back. Nice deep breaths. Let's just settle in the centre. We're going to remove, if you've got a little block at the back of your head, we're going to take that out now, pop that to one side, and then just enjoy the freedom of just having the head resting down. Come back to that little movement side to side with the hips and the pelvis. Settle in the centre. Just flex up the feet, release the arms. So we're going to take them out nice and wide. So you have a couple of options here. You can bend at the elbows, have the palms facing up, or you can keep them just shoulder width apart. So the way to determine what's the right place for you is if the hands are lifting or there's a lot of pain or tension in the shoulders, just keep them around shoulder width so there's still that lovely openness across the chest. Let's extend up through one leg and release, and then press up with the other leg. We'll do this a number of times. You can go at your own pace. Tempting as it is to race through it, you may want to just find a natural rhythm that coincides with the breath. And of course, pause at any time. There's not a set number of these, it's just a feeling of integration is our sort of the only goal in our practice, of just being completely absorbed. Sometimes these postures are strong and they absorb us because they are so all-encompassing, or sometimes because we are so integrated with the breath. Well done. Let's plant the feet. Land them softly. Keep the heels nice and close in towards the pelvis. Bring the elbows close into the body as you lift up the pelvis, so you can bear some weight down through the elbows, and then release the hands down to the floor. Move any props out of your way if they're in your way. Chin to chest. So this is a real sort of extension of that chin to chest, pressing firmly into the feet. So the feet are pointing straight down towards the top end of the mat, or they may be slightly turned out, depends on the set of the femur head in your pelvis. So take some breaths. You're welcome to come down and come up as many times as you need, as long as each time we're sort of picking up a little bit more core awareness, so around the pelvic floor. Nice deep breaths using the diaphragm. Chin stays towards the chest, which keeps us nice and central. Come down when you're ready as you exhale. Well done. Let's let the feet come together, knees flop out wide. So this time we'll manage without the padding, unless you know that you're hypermobile in your hips and there's a lot of openness around the inner groins and you need that support, then go ahead and take it. Let's place the hands on the lower belly this time. Breathe in. So there's a rise at the belly and an exhale. Allow the belly to drop. See if you can soften the inner groins and the space around the hips, the buttocks. But keep the awareness around the breath. So we're drawing up through the pelvic floor. We're bringing in some engagement around the diaphragm. Well done. Draw the legs together. Roll over onto your side. Come all the way onto hands and knees. Take some padding for your knees. Have a little wiggle of your tailbone. You can keep your socks on for this if you like. I can't blame anyone for doing that this time of year. And then we're going to just move through a little bit of what's often called cat-cow. So we're going to draw the belly in. So just bear in mind, obviously, I know if you're not weight bearing through your wrists, maybe do one and rest. Okay, maybe use your elbows, forearms and wrists to come and rest. Take the strain from going all through the wrists to through the legs. This goes for everybody actually. And as I said, a little bit of padding goes a long way under the kneecap. So I'm just going to show you what I mean here. So I'm on a very thin mat, so a little bit of padding. It may mean that you can sustain a posture for longer, or you know that the sensation isn't drawing you away from your practice and being a further distraction. So wrists are under the shoulders. Find that balance of the body where there's some tone in the belly, and then we're going to gently just tip the pelvis so we lengthen again that whole area that we just stretched through the lower back. Chin comes towards the chest. Let the head release. And with that, release the breath. So it's sort of squeezing out. So you can always feel that with the belly. The belly's drawing in. Of course, we can take sips of air, that's no problem at all. We're not holding the breath. Until we feel that the hands are well bedded into the mat, legs are also bearing the load, as it were. We're going to bend the elbows, take a breath in as we sweep the head gently forward. Press so the arms extend and let the belly release. So there's a natural curve through the front of the body. Well done. So you can come down and rest if you need to on your elbows, have a little wiggle of the tailbone, or you can take that same shape again where we come all the way up, press into the hands, draw the belly in, release the head. So of course we're not releasing just the head, there's space through the spine, space around the scapula, against the ribs. Exhale, bend in the elbows, look forward and lengthen, draw the belly in and up, press the floor away so the spine is long. Beautiful. And if this feels super tight between the shoulder blades, that's a good indication that's one of the areas we're holding a bit of tension. Let's pause there, have a little wiggle side to side with the hips and pelvis bending into the elbows. And again, do this mindfully. It may look as though it's quite random, but we are stretching through the side ribs when we shift our awareness to the left, when the elbow on the right goes down, etc. So really mindful of what's happening through the body. Let's just settle there for a moment. We're going to stay in this position for another breath. Take the arm that's furthest from me out to the side and then come under towards me. Okay, so it's coming through that little gap. We're bringing the head all the way down to rest. So again, there's that sort of invitation. We're sort of almost squeezing the last of that breath, releasing that, holding of that breath. Of course, the fingertips can walk forward so the arm is extended. But see how that feels in relation to the breath, because of course, if we are super tight through that shoulder joint, then it may be that extra little bit of pressure means we hold the breath. And this is sort of pointless in our practice. We want the breath to always be the focal point, as it were, an indicator of real union, a real meeting of intention and practice, of experience. Well done. If the arm is extended, let's draw that in towards the face and press firmly to come up. Now you can sit back on your heels for a moment just to give the arms a bit of a rest. Of course, sitting on the heels isn't for everybody. You may find that's too much. You may want to be up on your knees and shins. Always an option, always an alternative. So see how that feels in your body. Just enjoy that sort of spacious awareness up through the front of the body and the back of the body. And this is, part of our practice in terms of releasing is not even realizing where we're feeling held or restricted, perhaps around the side ribs or the back of the body. Deep breaths. Now we're going to travel forward. When you're ready, come over onto hands and knees, and then reposition the knees so they're under the pelvis. Always worth checking, the hands, the placement of the hands, the spaciousness around the neck joint, and then we'll raise up the arm that's closest to me, and then we're threading this through. So this is Suchindrasana. This is threading the needle. So I'm turning away from you, but head comes down. And again, you may want to extend that top arm. See how that feels, using your breath as the indicator. So it's not whether it feels good or easy or what you like, what you don't like. This sort of is beyond our preferences. It's really using the barometer of the breath, which is a real truth teller. Let's take one more deep breath in. And as we exhale, let's draw that hand close towards the face. Come up nice and slowly. Take some deep breaths. You can sit back again towards the heels if that feels good. Allow the body to sort of re-establish in this upright position. We're going to interlace our fingers, turn the palms away and just pause there. We'll turn to face you this time, you stay as you are. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly start to raise the arms up, bringing them just above the head, bending the elbows whenever you need to get that little bit more elevation. So that elevation is coming up from the waist or the hips, beyond the waist, through the ribs, through the armpits. There's a real sense of gathering up. And again, if you need to backtrack at all, if it feels too intense, you just come back to this position. Otherwise, we're opening up through the whole of the body, through the central channel, through the side ribs. Let's bend the elbows and bring the hands to the back of the head and pause there. So there can be a soft grip of those fingers. Let the weight of the head rest in the palms. Armpits open and relaxed. Good job. Tone in the belly. So it kind of goes without saying that, we're lifting everything up here. So where do we want that support to come from? Well, we often use the back, but then we pay the price because we are negating those lovely strong muscles at the front of the body, the abdominals. So allow them to take over, a drawing up through the pelvic floor, a deep breath using the diaphragm. Spacious awareness. Excellent, well done. Release the arms out wide. Come all the way up. Good job. Have a little wiggle side to side with the hips and pelvis. We're going to come to the end of our mat. I am going to take my socks off here. I think you know what's coming. Take your blanket to one side. We're going to plant the hands, tuck under the toes, just slowly start to be really playful with this fact that we are lifting the knees off the ground. So we're going to do this a couple of times. We want to use those abdominals, okay? So they're really gathering those in just as we lift the knees and then drop the knees. Keep that length through the spine. Keep that breath flowing. Rest when you need to. Perhaps lift the knees a little higher. Keep everything nice and sort of tight in. So we're lifting the heels, come back down, look forward and lengthen. Sharing the load between the hands. Remember, if you're really aware of your weight bearing through your wrists, you can release the hands as many times as you need and then replant them. This time, as we come up, really be playful. It's the best word, I think, to use to keep it light. And then extend through your Adho Mukha Svanasana. So our downward facing dog. So let the head release. Keep extending those arms. Keep drawing the legs up into the pelvis. So in other words, really drawing the front thighs deep into the pelvis, into the creases, and then the back muscles lengthening. So there's a feeling of strength through this integration of moving through the body. Of course, you're welcome to shift the weight into the feet, lift the heels, do this as many times as you need. You may like to walk through the legs a number of times, particularly if there's tightness on the inner groins. Well done. Exhale. Knees come all the way down, tuck under those toes, draw your pelvis back towards the heels. So spine is still long. We're going to drop down to the elbows here. Take a breath. Really soften into this, so allowing the thighs to release. We are coming into Balasana. So our child pose, again, lots of options here. You may want the arms extended. You can keep them nice and long so the side ribs have a big stretch. If you're enjoying the shoulders releasing, you may want to keep the arms sort of long and engaged. Take some support under the head if you need it. Or you can bring a sort of diamond shape, place the forehead on the hands. Or release the hands and the arms down by your side, resting on the forehead with the palms facing up. See what feels right for your body. And again, it may be that you're used to picking one over another. It may be that you benefit from perhaps your bolster between your thighs or bringing the floor a little closer to the forehead. Ultimately, looking for that sense of release. So if it means taking the legs a little wider, turning the head to one side, what does your body need in order to release? And it's not just the body, of course, there's all of the ideas in the mind. They can be released too. Any ideas about this posture or your body or how something feels or how something looks, they're all ideas. And so there is a freedom in dropping all of that. Taking an extra deep breath in and slowly start to draw the arms in towards the body. Use your hands to gently press yourself up. Let's release the legs in front of us, down the length of the mat. Take the hands gently behind, fingers pointing down towards the feet. If that's too strong, of course, just turn the hands either out to the sides or behind. Ultimately, the space between the ankles, we're going to bring some ankle movement here. So just softly allowing the knees to lift up. It's very natural. There's not a placement of this. It's just pure anatomy responding. So if we try to keep the legs flat, there would be less of a turn in the ankles. So making these lovely circles through the ankle joints means we also get that through the knees and deep into the hips. Keep the tone in the belly if you can, so there is a lift up through the chest. And then we'll take the circles in the other direction, so it's easier to stop and then toes from the inside going out. Always think of this as sort of like frog swimming or something similar. Nice deep breath. So as you release through the ankles, I find it super useful to allow the head and neck to move, because there is a direct connection between the ankles and the neck. So feel into that, see if that's true for you. And it may be that you also feel it really strongly in the hip joint. We've done lots on the hips tonight. But with that is a release of all that holding. settle that movement back to stillness, flex the toes. We're going to gently lean forward, peeling up the legs. Let's bring the soles of the feet together and draw the heels close in towards the body. Wrap the toes with the fingers and interlace those fingers, and just pausing there, looking down towards the feet. So we're not collapsing the body, nice long spine, and just breathe. Whatever sensation arises, maybe through the inner groins again or out towards the knees, just a softness, a release. Between the eyebrows, around the eyes. Slowly release the grip of the hands. Well done. Before we come to sit, I'm going to offer up a last little stretch, particularly if you're feeling that through the back of the body. So come to lay down, hug the knees again in towards the chest. This time, have some space around the knees and just rock gently side to side. Really become aware of the length of the spine, the whole upper back as well. So almost imagining you'd like every part of that spine to meet the floor on one of these little journeys from side to side, the outside edge of the hip, the upper back, the middle back, and then the lumbar spine. Well done. Land the feet when you're ready. Just pause there, hands resting on the thighs, shoulders release. And just take a moment to just observe. Let the hands rest on the belly now. Elbows can be wide. Just observe that sort of unraveling, if that's a feeling that is arising. Sort of meeting of the softening of the edges. Around the joints, around the muscles. Well done. So we will roll over nice and slowly, peeling ourselves up, maybe placing some socks back on and grabbing some extra warm layers. And we'll prepare for our meditation. So, as always, pick a posture that suits your body. It may even be on a chair, okay? So see how you feel. I know obviously we've worked, quite a strong way with the hips and pelvis this evening. So you may want to take some extra padding. See how it feels. I'm going to move a little closer so I can dim the lights and hopefully you'll hear me nice and clearly and won't be too loud. So a comfortable seated position for your meditation. So it may be some padding under the ankles. That's always a nice little addition. Make sure again your back is nice and warm, and your neck. If there's any danger of a breeze. So I promised you a chant to Ganesha this evening, which I thought would be a lovely way to start. See the year in, removing all obstacles. What could possibly be better than that for the year ahead? Intention is everything, so I think it's worth, perhaps really take a few moments just to feel, if one thing could be released for this year, what would that be? What does that look like? Is it something mentally or emotionally we can just let go of? So just closing your eyes as you come to stillness and observing, just observing the body, the base, the sitting bones, the muscles surrounding the hips and pelvis, so gluteals, your thighs, just how the body meets the earth. See if there's any adjustment that you could make to make this even better, even more comfortable, even more steady, peaceful. So as always, we will perhaps take a mudra if you would like to. We can bring the hands to the heart space in Anjali Mudra, and we'll chant together or just join with the listening. And you can have eyes open, eyes closed, however you feel. Sometimes just the closing of the eyes just allows us to stay very much with our own sort of experience without being drawn out externally. And then we'll drop into our meditation and perhaps just this question of releasing. What can we release? Deep breath in and release. And we'll start with Om together. Deep breath in. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale, release. Let the hands come to rest. And just resting in that stillness, that peace of yourself. And perhaps the resonance of the sound Gam, which is the Bija mantra for Ganesha. I'll mind the time. Taking an extra deep breath into the body. Exhale, release. Let's bring the chin to the chest. And breathe a little softness into the shoulders as you allow a little light and colour into the eyes. And take some deeper breaths as you move the body. We're going to move into our Shavasana. So grab any extra layers. Notice if your body temperature has dropped. You want to grab an extra layer, thicker socks, eye pillow, anything to make you super comfortable. And we'll come to lay down with some support under the back of the head. So again, this may look like a pillow or a soft folded blanket, or even one of these blocks you can use. Just check that the neck is free, there's no disturbance there. And then come to lay down. If you have your bolster and you want to use it under your knees, you're very welcome to just check that that's under the little curvature of the backs of the knees, some space around the feet, let them flop out. Tuck that tailbone under, come to lay all the way down, covering the body if you have another blanket, but the chest is open and relaxed. Arms can be a little distance away from the body. Just release those shoulder blades into the floor, releasing the arms in their sockets. If you prefer to have the hands on the body, you're very welcome. See what feels good before gently closing the eyes. And again, just surrendering any holding whatsoever. So the body comes back to that natural state of pure stillness. The feeling completely and utterly content. Allow all tension to go. Surrendering the holding of the shoulders, any gripping or grasping around the feet, the toes, the skin at the back of the knees, the thighs. Allow the belly to soften. And the whole of the head to relax. And resting in that deep peace of yourself. Resting in the heart space. Resting with the breath. Slowly, when you're ready, start to take a deeper, fuller breath into the body. Exhale, release. Maybe bending up the knees and softening through the pelvis and soles of the feet. And slowly rolling over onto your side. Take your time. So the light and colour comes in through the eyes. Nice deep breaths. And slowly bringing yourself up to a comfortable position so that the sitting bones are sort of re-established. There's some spaciousness around the hips and the pelvis. I'll bring the hands to the heart space. And this time we'll interlace the fingers and just rest the palms against the chest. Take a deep breath there in the heart space and exhale, release. And just embrace that softness, occupies that space. Another deep breath in and release. And our last time together, deep breath in, palms together, exhale. Namaste. Sleep well. Hope to see you soon.